Ah. Oh, these? These right here. This is just my official Fusions Gamer YouTube merch that was given to me as a gift. You can get them if you want, but these these right here. These are just my "I told you so" glasses. Why do I have "I told you so" glasses? Because the FNAF movie. I watched it. I watched it today at the time of this recording, and I was right, baby. I was right about the movie. I was right about the ending of the movie, at least. Wow, we have a lot to get into. I'm not going to go into specific spoiler territory, only because I'm not. This video isn't exactly meant to be like a spoiler talk review or anything. If I go into spoilers, I will let you know. And I'll give a little bit for you to if you want to go watch it for yourself. If you haven't already watched it, so excuse me. This movie's amazing. This movie was, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, this movie. This might be controversial. This might sound controversial, especially from a lot of the other videos that I've seen from people so far. This movie is perfect. Now I know that sounds crazy. This movie is perfect. I almost cried during this movie, not because the movie itself was so emotionally driven that you were able to relate to it. It wasn't anything like that. I was watching Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie, in theaters, and it was perfect. You can tell all of the detail and the careful, the careful attention to detail that the productions and then the director and everybody had for this movie. This wasn't just a cash grab. This wasn't just, hey, we're finally able to make this movie after all this time, but just make it. Let's get it out there. They knew what we wanted, and I can't speak for everybody, especially since when it comes to any kind of community, we all have our different opinions. I can't speak, or one person in general can't speak for the entire community, for the entire fan base. I'm going to say it for myself. This was perfect. This was amazing. This is what I wanted for a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I know some of the people, some people may have issues with the amount. We'll go down the line actually. So what we'll talk about first is the scariness. This movie for me, I'm not a horror guy. At least not initially. Like I won't go and watch like The Exorcist, for example. Or at least the new one. I'm not good with jump scares. So that's part of why I never really played the FNAF games. Like, I love them, but I never played them to really play them and try and beat them because I'm not good with jump scares. I'm not good with horror in general. There's limits that I'll watch. Some classics that I've gotten comfortable with. But this movie had me on the edge of my seat. Not only because it was interesting, not only because I was actually invested, which I haven't been invested in a movie of this magnitude in such a long time, but Jesus Christ, I jumped at least a good 3 times, and I say a good 3 times because there were moments where I thought, oh, okay, here we go. They're focusing on something. It's got to be a jump scare. It's got to be something crazy, and it doesn't happen. And I'm like, oh, okay, and then boom, and I'm like, whoa! I got scared. And it caught me off guard. And as you can tell, I'm super excited. It's been about 5 hours since I watched the movie. But damn, was it good. And now, again, the horror factor, if you are somebody who's going into this movie thinking it's going to be super bloody and super gory, it's not super bloody, it's not super gory, but there is some, I won't spoil it if you haven't seen the movie, because at the time of this recording, like I said, this is the day of, this is the day that I watched it, which is the day after it came out in theaters. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. Stop the video right now, go watch it. But there's 2 scenes that happen in this movie, one towards the middle and one at the end, which is, where we'll come back to that, where, damn, I was not expecting one of them. I wasn't expecting. One of them I was not expecting. The second one, I theorized about it, got it right. Nobody believed me, but, this video is proof. The last video is proof. The movie's proof. You can go watch the movie right now. It's proof that I got it right. If you're going to and expecting like tons of gore, a ton of jump scares and just making you scream every 5 seconds. It's not that kind of movie. It's not that kind of movie because it's Five Nights at Freddy's, which is known for its jump scares. That's definitely why people love the games. That's why people have said the games are so scary. The jump scares, that arguably or more often than not are very, very, they're scary. They actually get your heart pumping. But I'm fine with the way that it was, because I was, again, the story is what I was invested in. I didn't want the movie to be plagued with jump scares and making everything all gory. That's not what Five Nights at Freddy's was about. That's not how it started. That's not how the games were made. They weren't meant to be some gory, oh my god, this game is so terrifying kind of game. It was meant to be suspenseful. It was meant to be, to get you. The jump scares were meant to be scary, as far as you never know when they're going to happen. That's how the games started. That's what this movie feels like, and that's why I think this movie was perfect. This movie is not one to one with the games. It was never going to be one to one, and there's a lot of people who've talked about it, or at least I've mentioned it too, that it was not going to be one to one. I'm glad that it wasn't, because it made it that much more special. I loved it. I loved every single part of it. So moving to the characters were amazing. I felt very, very invested in the characters, more than I have been in a long time. I have not watched a movie and have been that invested the entire time in a very long time. I can't remember the last time that I saw a movie and was actually that invested. I was literally on the edge of my seat. I was sitting there. I was like, oh my god. I looked like this. I was like, what is happening? And I was mesmerized. It was beautiful. There were there was a lot of characters, or at least there was a lot of references to other characters. And when I say characters, I mean animatronics. There were references in them throughout the movie that I thought were beautifully placed. Let's go at first. Real spoiler warning. I'm not gonna. I know I said I wasn't gonna go into spoilers, but these story spoilers. These go ahead and either click off the video now if you haven't seen it, or you're gonna have to skip ahead about a minute. Excuse me, if you haven't seen the movie, to avoid these spoilers. So 3, 2, 1, go. The two on-screen appearance cameos of YouTubers, as we all knew from the trailer, was Corey Kenshin. But the first one that we actually see is freaking Matt Pat of Game Theory. I was not expecting that. And I didn't even recognize him at first. His character walked up on screen, and I was like, oh, it's, we're getting our typical, his character that's in this kind of movie. And then they had the front view, the front camera view of him. And I was like, holy shit, it's Matt Pat! Is that Matt Pat? I was screaming. I was so excited. I was so happy. That was amazing. It was unexpected, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It had like 10 seconds of screen time, but it was perfect. That was the most I've ever. I think that was more than I could have ever asked for in a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I think I mentioned Corey Kenshin. Corey Kenshin's in there. It was just it was great. Those cameos were so. They were so. What am I trying to say? They were fun. They were so funny. They were just, like I said, the Corey Kenshin one we knew about. The Matt Pat one that's crazy. So what's next on the agenda? I mean, what else can I really go into without spoiling the movie itself? I guess we'll go into the animatronics themselves, the main characters of the show or the movie. The animatronics were so they felt so real. They're actual animatronics that they built and used for this movie. But when I say they felt real, I mean as in, if these things were walking around your house, or if you were in this pizzeria with these animatronics and they started walking around, the weight that they have, when they would take a step, it wasn't just like, in any kind of like movie that has like robots that are always like the typical metal sound, like what you would expect to like metal clanking on the floor to sound like, but it's so typical that it's kind of boring. But when these things stepped, man, it was like boom, boom, boom. It felt real. It felt like I was actually watching these things in front of me. It felt so there was weight to their movement. Excuse me. It wasn't movies like RoboCop where you have actors that or we had an actor that was acting like robotic and kind of like moved his body in a robotic. These were actual robots, and it felt much more, I guess, grounded to the story. It just felt so good. That everything was top notch. Foxy, 10 out of 10. That boy it was amazing. That boy was beautiful looking, and I want to say I haven't seen anybody else talk about this, but one of the screen I think it was one of the leaked pictures of the or not leaked picture, but one of the pictures that somebody took at the premiere for the FNAF movie. That Foxy has tape on the back of his head for the eye patch part. That's freaking hilarious. I haven't seen anybody talk about that, but I just thought that was really funny. Bonnie and Chica, in my opinion, those two are just I don't know why I want to say it, but those two are like the funniest of the animatronics. It's just so well to have those two walking around together, to actually see a real animatronics walking around, like Chica and Bonnie animatronics. Freddy was so cool. These things are freaking huge, man. The scene of Max from the trailer when she's going up to Freddy's mouth and the hand comes out of there and grabs her. She's standing on a chair, and she is still about, I'd say, a good few inches, maybe 6 or so inches from being eye level with Freddy. Not to his head or the forehead or hat, to being eye level. These things are freaking huge, and that is scary. That was the scariest thing, because you don't think about that when you play the games. When you play the games, you're playing on a screen, whether it's a computer screen or a mobile version. You don't really know the size of these things. You're thinking they're like human height or below average human. These things are freaking massive, and this movie shows you just how massive they are, and it is on a whole nother level, dude. That Jesus Christ, this movie's awesome. Next thing we get into is the story. The story itself, I did love. I really don't have any complaints about this movie. I have no negativity about this movie. I could watch this movie all the way through again. I won't be able to find anything. There's lots of movies that I enjoyed to the fullest, but even after, I'm like, oh, okay, now that I think about it, this and that. None. I have no negativity. If the next movie is exactly like this is a dream come true. This is beautiful. Now, before we end the video and get my final thoughts about the movie, I was right. I was right about the Five Nights at Freddy's ending. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie ending. So another spoiler warning, but not really a spoiler because we all knew it was going to happen once he was revealed to be in there. Go to the video before this one is me playing Five Nights at Freddy's Ultimate Custom Night, and I gave and I think I did in the first Ultimate Custom Night video. I can't remember, but I said to many people before I started making before I made these videos, and I said to many people, when we had the first trailer and we had that main trailer that showed Spring Bonnie and William Afton in the suit, the ending was gonna be Afton getting spring locked, during the climax. And as he's twitching, as all that stuff's going on, the characters are, they're going to get out. They're going to think everything's okay. Everything's going to be fine. And we're going to go on to the next, the final shots of the film. And the very last shot of the movie, I said it, quote, the camera is going to pan on William Afton, on Spring Bonnie, and he's going to twitch, and the movie's going to cut to black. What happens? 3, 2, 1. Spoiler for the end of the movie, unless you've already seen it. If you haven't, go watch the movie right now before I say it. The camera pans on Spring Bonnie, on Springtrap now, as he's twitching. Door closes, cut to black. I freaking knew it, man. I knew it. I called it from the very beginning. I'm just that good. When the FNAF movie 2 is announced, come back over here and watch me predict the ending of the next movie. I'm just that good. I love you guys. Be good people. Overall rating of the movie, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 10. This movie's perfect. If you're a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, go see the movie. Even if you don't know too much about the lore, if you haven't played a lot of the games, or maybe you only played the first game and you've just been, you've been kind of a fan just from remembering it and just kind of popping in here and there to the community. Go watch this movie. It's really fun. It's really entertaining. Is it the scariest movie ever? No. Is it the funniest movie ever? Not really, but it was funny. It definitely was funny. It had me laughing a lot. It's a perfect, in my opinion, it's a perfect Five Nights at Freddy's movie. The most perfect movie we could have ever gotten. Scott Cawthon, thank you so much for making this franchise and giving us this happiness over these last 8 years. Thank you so much for giving us, for, if I'm understanding it right, this is your last project for FNAF, and man, you really, you gave us something great to go out with. The Five Nights. If the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise just ended with this movie, dude, bravo, bravo for you, bravo for everybody that was a part of the production team, the director, Miss Emma Tammy. You guys did a wonderful job, and I'm so happy that I was able to see this work of yours, this work of art of yours. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. 10 out of 10. Go watch it. If you're watching this in the future and the DVDs are already out and you haven't gotten the DVD, go buy the fucking DVD and then come back over here and tell me how you liked it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.